In these clips, we see blister machine guns of the B-25 in action. At the end of 1942, Kenney's 5th Air Force had a problem. Bomb accuracy rates against Japanese shipping was abysmal. Only 3% of bombs were striking their targets. To mitigate this issue, they needed innovative armaments and attack tactics. General Kenney, together with Pappy Gunn, experimented with both skip bombing and upsizing the B-25's forward-facing guns. The guns were needed to suppress the ship's anti-aircraft fire. This combination proved deadly. During the Battle of the Bismarck Sea, the Allies destroyed 8 out of 8 transports and 4 of their 8 destroyers using these armaments and tactics. The intent of this video is to review the incorporation of the B-25 blister guns, challenges in the modification, and review the bomber's long-range bullet strike grouping. The channel has discussed the 5th Air Force's legendary tactics and armaments innovations in these videos covering skip bombing, mast height bombing, WEWAC parafrag airfield attacks, Battle of the Bismarck Sea, skip bomb application, use of phosphorus bombs in the Rabaul Harbor attack, and the ineffective addition of the 75mm cannon to the B-25. Kenney's go-to guy for incorporation and testing of these armaments and tactics is Pappy Gunn. The key to destroying a ship is to safely get close enough to execute a precision skip bomb attack. The ship's anti-aircraft fire stations need to be saturated by the bomber's 50 caliber bullets, neutralizing their return fire. The tactic developed had B-25s working in pairs, one strafer attacking from the ship's stern direction and one strafer and bomber attacking from the ship's beam direction. A well-trained B-25 team's bomb strike rate is around 90%. The hail of bullets will keep the ship's gunners' heads down so the skip bomber can deliver a fatal bomb blow. This page from a 1997 General Kenney Reports Air Force History Program document describes a request from Kenney to Pappy to upsize the number of forward-facing 50 caliber machine guns on the B-25. Pull out all B-25 nose equipment and mount as many 50 caliber machine guns as possible. Ammo capacity goal of 500 rounds per gun. Consider 4 in the nose, 4 on the sides, and 3 on the bottom. These guns would overwhelm a ship's anti-aircraft fire so the skip bomber can deliver the fatal blow. These B-25 commerce destroyers will be effective in stopping Japanese shipping within their operating range. This map from a 1947 USSBS report on the history of the 5th Air Force shows air coverage range of Kenney's bombers operating out of Darwin and New Britain based on date. The initial batch of gun-modified B-25s were ready for combat in March of 1943. The range of the 5th Air Force planes extends out to these zones. Kenney checked on Pappy's modification progress. The plane was nose-heavy. To mitigate this dangerous issue, lead ballast was placed in the tail. They moved the side blister guns back 3 feet, and they placed their ammo boxes in the bomb bay. The belly guns were omitted due to their weight and their effect on the airframe. The 4 guns in the nose were working fine. Panels were added to the fuselage where the side blister guns were mounted to minimize muzzle blast damage. Additional work was needed, though. This is a B-25 C1 model that was used in the Battle of the Bismarck Sea attack in March 1943. It incorporated 4 nose guns and 4 side blister guns. This page from a 1944 B-25 SRM document shows the fuselage skin gauges of the B-25J model. The skin at the blister gun's muzzle equates to a thickness of .064 inches thick aluminum sheet. In this case, .051-inch thick doublers were added to minimize skin damage from the muzzle blast. These ported muzzle devices, or P40 type blast tubes, were added to redirect the flow away from the fuselage. This page shows the armor configuration of the B-25H model from a B-25 erection and maintenance handbook. This aluminum panel is 3/8 inch thick and it's part of the plane's armor system. A blast doubler is added here, and the upper blister's muzzle is over the extended 3/8 inch armor panel. Another view of the blast panel is added. To reduce airframe damage further, Pappy added a sponge rubber pad between the blast-absorbing aluminum doubler and the fuselage skin. The structural damage was eliminated. This video shows a B-25 in refurbishment showing the sponge rubber interface layer between the blast doubler and the fuselage skin. The Pappy modified B-25 C1 model's armament included 10 forward-facing 50 caliber machine guns if you include the top turret. Kenney pointed out if the plane survived 200,000 rounds, it was ready for combat trials. This table lists the factory configuration differences between the models from a B-25 pilot training manual. We can add a row representing the number of deliveries. The side blister 50 caliber machine guns were factory added to the H and J models. A B-25J model cutaway showing the blister guns. After the March 1943 Battle of the Bismarck Sea, Kenney went to Washington to convince General Arnold to modify the factory-produced B-25s to incorporate Pappy's upgrades. Wright Field engineers pointed out the upgrades listed are impractical for a variety of reasons. The center of gravity would shift too much, the plane would be too heavy, a reduction in flying qualities, and such. Kenney then pointed out that 12 such modified planes successfully participated in the Battle of the Bismarck Sea, and 60 more are in the mod shop in Townsville, Australia. Arnold ran the engineers out of the office. This image shows a modification center at Townsville with 34 B-25s undergoing Pappy's modifications. This page describes the armaments of the B-25J model. 4 50 caliber machine guns are installed on the side of the fuselage. They are manually charged and the pilot fires the guns. Targets are sighted by the N3B gun sight. This image shows the gunnery equipment for the B-25J model from a 1944 Pilot Flight Operating Instructions Manual. The left blisters 400-round ammo boxes, ammo chute, and the gun's manual charging handles. The N3B optical gun sight, the backup 35mm rad ring iron sight, and its sight post here. This image shows the location of the pilot's N3B optical gun sight and the pilot's firing button for all forward-facing 50 caliber machine guns. Another view of the pilot station with the N3B optical gun sight, machine gun firing button, and the 35mm rad backup ring sight. This page describes a gunnery mission. Approach a ship at an altitude of 200 feet. Start firing short bursts at a range of 1,000 yards. The typical effective fighter range for the 50 caliber machine gun is 400 yards. As discussed on this page from a 1945 USAAF Gunnery Training Manual. However, due to the accurate, non-converging nature of the bomber's guns and the need to start suppressing the ship's AA guns as soon as the attack run starts, extended range firing is needed. This image shows targets where the open fire range is beyond 400 yards, like an anti-aircraft strafing ship attack. The pilot can use the splashes to walk the strikes to the target. The ammo used is a repeating mix of 1 tracer, 2 armor-piercing, and 2 incendiary cartridges. The incendiary ammo will flash when striking the ship, giving an indication of a hit. This image shows the position of the 400-round ammo boxes and ammo chutes relative to the blister guns and an exploded view of the gun's components and parts. This image shows the dimension in inches of the H model's 8 guns relative to the N3B gun sight and ring sight. This figure can be used to estimate the 8-gun bullet grouping at various target ranges. Machine gun bullets exiting the muzzle will follow trajectories with a predictable 4mm rad dispersion strike pattern for 75% of the rounds from a 1945 Gunnery Training Manual. We can calculate the diameter of the strike circle for a single 50 caliber machine gun burst. 75% of the machine gun bullets will strike the target at a 4mm rad zone of 4.8 feet at a distance of 400 yards, 7.2 feet at 600 yards, and 12 feet at 1,000 yards. At point-blank range, the strike pattern is roughly a rectangle 5.1 feet by 1.8 feet. At a 400-yard range, each of the gun's dispersal area is a circle 4.8 foot in diameter. At a 400-yard range, the 8-gun grouping pattern is roughly a rectangle 10.2 feet by 6.3 feet. At a 1,000-yard range, the 8-gun grouping pattern is roughly a rectangle 22 feet by 16 feet. The B-25's 1,000-yard 22 by 16-foot grouping would project this size on a Japanese destroyer. Both B-25s should be able to fire 3 2-second bursts during the attack runs. They will target the side of the ship, which will be struck by the skip-bombing B-25. Ideally, the ship's AA guns will be struck by a concentration of 1,248 50 caliber bullets during an attack pass. The 1,000-yard bullet drop of 25 feet can be compensated for by adjusting the plane's pitch based on the bullet water splash strikes. There was no consideration for mounting the guns on the B-25's wing. The guns would need to be mounted outboard of the propeller arc and clear the fuel tanks, would need to be towed in at a defined harmonization sweet spot range, and the wing bullets would not group well with the fuselage bullets at a long distance range. If you have found this B-25 blister gun review interesting and informative, please consider liking, commenting, and/or subscribing to World War II U.S. Bombers.